the truth is, I was pretty frustrated earlier. Um, we had made a mistake with a client, and their phones weren't working. So a few of the phone numbers on their site weren't working. They weren't the prominent numbers, but still they were the tracking numbers that we had put together for this client, and they were on the site in a few spots. And we found out from the client that they weren't working. He checked the top number, which wasn't our number. He had come with that toll-free number that wasn't working. And then it turns out he checks the other numbers on the site; those aren't working. So the one at the top, at the prominent spot, was his. However, I still feel like it's our responsibility to check these numbers and to make sure the traffic we're sending to the site is able to call the office. I mean, we don't get paid for traffic. We get paid for the end result of opportunities, new cases, new clients. And if they can't call the office, everything else we're doing is a waste. And from the client's perspective, they're spending money with us that is just basically going out the window. At least some of it. I mean, yeah, it's going to keep coming in, the traffic that we've generated, but whatever the visitors that came to the site and weren't able to call through, a certain percentage of them didn't find the right number by Googling their phone number and gave up. Interesting, though, that you typically would find out about it from somebody that calls, like a client or a visitor calls and then eventually gets through and says, your other number's not working. So that's, I don't know how long they weren't working. That's part of the issue. But the challenge for us here, the way that we have to look at this is exactly what we need to fix to get better. This is one operational issue that, if fixed, would have a very big impact on our company, because we wouldn't lose clients for dumb reasons. It's not the first time that this has happened, and it's not that expensive to have somebody check on these contact methods periodically. So how does this relate to the great game of business? In the great game, it definitely relates to scoreboards. That's number one. So the department that is in charge of auditing these sites and making sure the sites work well would be the dev team, the development team. So at first things first, we need this shown on a scoreboard where we count mistakes found, or days without incident. So the very first thing is it has to go on a scoreboard so that we can see it, we can track it, we can measure it, and therefore we can improve. Second of all, this could be a mini game. If this is something that we want to get rid of, and it's the biggest constraint or the most impactful thing, if we had cleaned it up, maybe we do a mini game on it for 30 days or 90 days and clean it up once and for all. Let me think how else it could be incorporated into the great game, or how the great game could be of use here. it wouldn't be a critical number. It might be a critical number for the department, which is like a KPO, a key performance objective, but that would go on the scoreboard. So we already said that one. Mini games we already said, and I think that's it. But it also reminds me of the theory of constraints, which is it's not a great game concept, but the theory of constraints says our brains are much more wired to see obstacles and challenges and failure as opposed to seeing successes. So theory of constraint has you look at the things holding you back from your goals, from your objectives. And you come up with all the obstacles that are in your way or causing friction between you and your goal. And then what you do is you take all of those and you make them their opposite. And you chain them or sort them based on, again, this goes back to the great game. So the third way would be using the effort impact map. Which obstacles would have the greatest impact if they were obliterated and solved once and for all? And which ones cost the least or have the least amount of effort to correct? So I think that's how we're going to move forward on this. No matter how this plays out with this particular client, we're performing well for him otherwise, but his phones weren't working, and we don't know how long they weren't working for. But moving forward, we're going to put this on a scoreboard. We're going to start tracking mistakes on websites. We're going to have people that are auditing these sites for mistakes regularly. And it's going to allow us to start getting into conversion rate optimization, which is really where the money is. And then perhaps we can start a mini game right away if there are people in the dev team, and I know there are, that aren't playing a mini game right now. There's no reason why they can't start this mini game immediately. So that's the steps moving forward from this. It sucks, but I guess I keep saying to myself, I guess that's just the part of the process of creating a great company is being, sucking at times. It's not always winning, and you're not always winning. Another part of the great game right there is that with scoreboards and as a game, you can see when you're winning or losing. And we are certainly in this department not winning right now. So with scoreboards, possibly mini games, we have to crush this if it's losing us clients and revenue, especially because it therefore has a big impact on our critical number, which happens to be revenue and profit. All right, so that's what we'll do moving forward. I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks for watching.